1071 WTJN. It's Saturday morning programming brought to you by Outlook Financial, and time now for the Mayor's Report. And of course, with me is Mayor Michael Beamish.
Mayor Michael Beamish is in the studio, and I always start or I finish every show by thanking Troy Community Radio for what you do to promote the many events that we have throughout the year, but now we're in the summer session.
Well, let's just talk about what happened in the last week. You have been on the ball. Not only did we have council, but we had some ribbon cuttings, and actually, well, let's start with Sculptures on the Square.
Wow.
Because I think that was our first ribbon cutting.
That was, and we had an unveiling. All the major sponsors unveiled their particular sculpture, and wow, we have now 22 special Seward Johnson guests that are joining us for the summer and even into the fall. And then we also have another special regional award. The Strawberry Girl is out by the Rejuicery. And so we really have 23 special guests that are joined us in downtown area for people to come, browse around, walk around, see the sculptures, and also support our small businesses downtown.
I like the placement of the statues because they all seem to kind of associate in front of where they've been placed.
Well, Clint, we have a very, very good Sculptures on the Square committee. Every 2 years we do this. And the placement committee is responsible to find the proper place. And I'll tell you, I agree with you. It seems like every placement is in the right place. And so I would just encourage everybody to just get one of the brochures. And there it is. There's the brochure all around town. And then just follow it and enjoy what you see.
Well, I love Marilyn Monroe, right in front of the Mayflower Arts Center, and you have the sailor kissing his girlfriend in front of the Veterans Museum. So, and those are just a couple of them.
And it's so lifelike. I
Yes.
had many people think that was a real person, and so it is worth anybody, not only the Troy residents, but throughout the Miami County in this region. Invite people to come to Troy, downtown Troy, and just walk around.
I was eyeing in on a conversation I saw on Facebook. People that were already, a lot of pictures have been shared and taken from members of the community. But then I saw other people posting that they maybe don't live in Troy anymore, and they're going to drive the 2 or 3 hours to come downtown just to see them.
Well, let me just tell you, my daughter lives in Switzerland. and she has shared with us yesterday, in fact, that she is going to be coming on Labor Day weekend to visit us, and she was hoping that the sculptures will still be there, and they will. And so she will also want to walk around with our 2 grandchildren and her husband and see the sights of downtown Troy. And it's been a while since she's been here, so she's all excited about coming.
Well, be able to get all that in and check those out. It is so neat downtown. We're looking forward to some new businesses that are going to be opening, finishing up over at Heron's Market.
Yeah.
And the Lockbox. We heard good news about both of those in this past week. We'll get to that when we get to council, I'm sure. And also, there's a couple businesses I know that you wanted to point out.
Oh, yes.
That Conagra and Stillwater Technology.
Well,
Great
let me
news.
just this past week, just wonderful news. And first of all, let me start with Conagra. What I think is really impressive is they've increased their employment. I'll start with that. And within a year and a half, they reached 2 million hours of workplace accident-free safety in the workplace. And I think that's certainly something to celebrate.
Yes,
and
it is.
They did celebrate that, and I was able to be a part of that celebration. But 2 million hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Of accident-free. That shows safety in the workplace is important to Conagra.
Yes.
And the second one, during that same week, Stillwater Technologies was celebrating their 60th anniversary, and they were honoring Bill and Wanda Lukens, who obviously started that business and grew that business here in Troy, Ohio, USA, and so they honored them for their achievements, and I had a chance to be a part of that as well.
That's great when you see these local companies and the time invested in what they've meant to the community.
It's great, but wait, there's more.
Oh.
How about the golf course?
Oh, the Shoreline. You had ribbon cutting for that this week,
had,
too.
The ambassador, I should say, when we have ribbon cutting, we have a number of Chamber of Commerce ambassadors. You'll know they're around when they wear the red shirts. But these are all people that have business interests throughout the Troy community, but they come together to do ribbon cuttings to celebrate new business or achievements. And this past week at the Miami Shores Golf Course, which I might mention in the Reader's Choice Awards, there was the #1 golf course in this area, and it's a public golf course. But they also have worked real hard with the driving range, a new clubhouse look, and also the Shoreline restaurant joins them. And so we had a big ribbon cutting celebration there this past week, and to hopefully encourage people to come out, see the beautiful golf course, but also see the new reconstruction of the facilities.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a chance to look over the menu, and I think I'm going to have to go over and have lunch. And the great thing is, you don't have to be a member. It's open to everyone.
I'll tell you, Darlene and staff there encourage people to come and enjoy the ambiance of not only the dining there, but just to see the golf course. It's beautiful.
Now, we had one more little ribbon cutting that went on in this past week, and I think part of that, you got to turn the lights on at Kettering, the new Troy Hospital.
They opened the doors at 7 in the morning, and we were there at 6:30 to have a group picture and to actually get the lights on. And all indications, that day was a very positive, productive day. They were in full service by 7 o'clock, and we actually had people waiting to be seen at the Troy Hospital at 7 o'clock that morning.
That is just incredible. I know the parking lot was full yesterday when I was headed back home around noon.
It was, the care, the compassion, but most of all the health services that are provided there. Just adds another dimension to Miami County and what we can offer in healthcare.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was coming in 25A just the other morning, and I get to town, it's still dark. And what Kettering has also added to kind of the nightscape when you're coming in 25A, because you can see that sign up over the top of everything. It was just a really neat feeling.
And the lighting, the landscaping.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. And they're not finished yet, but they're still working at it. But boy, is it just a nice ambiance as you come into the downtown area and to see the Troy Hospital in operation, and having a wonderful team that does show care and does show compassion, and certainly want to make sure their patients are taken good care of.
Now, I can honestly say we're pretty lucky here in Miami County now. Not only do we have Premier Health Networks, but now we also have Kettering Health Networks, which gives folks kind of a choice.
It does give a choice, and they're both very reputable institutions,
yes.
Networks, and so I want to certainly share. We do have choices now in Miami County from 2 different networks, but both of them have great reputations, and they provide great service.
For sure. And both facilities just state of the art.
State of the art.
Let's talk about council.
We did have council on June 17th. That's the last Monday. And we really we did have some subcommittee meetings, one of which you addressed, and that is looking at recommendations to the subcommittee on certain downtown business loans
Yes.
that are being asked. And the loan committee has approved those to take to subcommittee, which eventually will go to full council for decisions. But they've always been very supportive of any investments into our downtown. So, but that wasn't on the agenda for this past Monday. We did have 3 pieces of legislation dealing with annexation. Many people understand this is the area of Riverside Drive. There were 3 pieces. Though we needed to file this by June 5th, it was emergency pieces of legislation that dealt with the statement of services, buffering requirements, and giving consent. The state requires 3 pieces. And there was emergency because we already needed to file that ahead, but council passed those 8-0. We did have 1 member not present, but it was an 8-0 vote. We also had another bid for a fleet maintenance contract. You know, that's pretty expensive to keep all the pieces of
There's a lot of vehicles
That's right.
that the city has.
So they look and they weigh it, and we are going to bid that out not to exceed $400,000, which was a NATO vote, because they realized it may cost a lot more than that if we didn't have this kind of contract. So those were the resolutions. We had 4 of those. We did have 1 ordinance, and that was some easements with Dayton Power and Light for switchgear of Mulberry Street parking lot and Cherry Street parking lot. That was pretty basic, and that passed 8-0. So we did have those things. Now, we did have a lot of other discussion. I shared, as we've already talked about, with coming online of the Troy Hospital, with the Kettering Health Network. We talked the rain. Wow. You know, Treasure Island has become a very valuable park and asset to a lot of different activities for people of all ages. We've had concerts. We have a great boathouse restaurant there. We have a lot of amenities there. But when it rains, we can't control the rain.
Well, and we've seen it flood quite a few times since Treasure Island has been put into service. And yet, every time I go down and the water's receded, it looks beautiful and just fine.
And I need to compliment our engineering team. They saw that. They looked at the history. You know, our boathouse restaurant used to be a Hobart boathouse.
Well, Hobart's built that building.
They did.
And in all the years since Hobart built that building, the water has never gone to the main floor. It hasn't even touched the floor joist.
And so the engineering staff took a look at that and said, okay, if we're going to develop Treasure Island Park, let's look at that as a base. And when we put our electrical and all those amenities in place, let's make sure we preserve at that level our electrical boxes and everything. And so the bottom line is, yes, the water will come up. It's right next to the Great Miami River. You know that's going to happen.
Right.
And it will recede, as you just said, Clint, and it has. But at no time, knock on wood, because we could have one of those Noah Ark experiences, but to date, it has, the engineering team has thought this through, and it has still produced. Now, saying that, we do have functions, and we do have events, and we do have activities that could be affected by the water. And one of those was that there was going to be a Troy Miami County Public Library
Oh, yes.
movie night. And they were going to show Mary Poppins Return. Sounds great. But the water didn't allow that to happen. Now, I will say the rain date is scheduled, I say that, weather permitting, for June 25th, which is Tuesday.
Right,
So-
this upcoming Tuesday.
So that's going to take place, and but I think we covered. Oh, Baker's Night. You know, mark your calendars, because this is interesting. Baker's Night is a Miami County decision, and we participate. It's 6 to 8 p.m. and this year it will be on October 31st.
So it is on Halloween.
It is.
All
So
right.
I just thought you might want to mark that down because that will be Miami County's Beggars Night, and that was mentioned as well.
Now, I want to mention something else about Treasure Island because we talked about the electricity, but even the plumbing at the public restroom that is at
thank
Treasure Island, that is above the flood level, and so is the lighthouse. I've seen several times when it's flooded, you see the lighthouse, it looks like it's out in the river, but the lighthouse itself is not in the water, but the concrete base that it sits on is. So,
Power plant that has the light that goes around is higher.
yes.
So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Now, we did have a couple of other things at council. Beautification committee. There are many people up for renewal of beautification, and this is a committee of volunteers that get together once a month, and they discuss things like Arbor Day, Tree City USA, beautification awards, how we're going to outsource flower planting and things. They have a very important role to play in the ambiance, not only of our downtown, but the beauty of our community. And so the Personnel Committee made approval of my recommendations for a number of Beautification Committee members, including a new member, Barb Reddick, will be joining the Beautification Committee, which I'm real happy to see. So we had that. We did have, and this is a downer a little bit because we had a resolution in memoriam for Jim Miley. Many of us had worked with Jim. Everybody knows Jim is very concerned about the community, had worked in the library. He passed away doing something he loved, and that is on his bicycle. And he passed away this past week. And so the council, because he was on council, served one term on council, they did a resolution of memoriam for him that will be presented to Diane. And I thought a true tribute to a great person that we lost in this community. We did have another announcement, the Rotary Club, another great organization in Troy, does a lot of service projects. They planted a monarch butterfly garden project that
Nice.
they have, and it is, as you go down to Treasure Island Park, it sits to the left of the Boathouse Restaurant in that open area, and what they're doing is trying to draw butterflies. Many of us know the monarch butterfly is kind of endangered, and so they put a habitat in there that will draw them to the park. So another feature of Treasure Island Park, it will be the Monarch Butterfly Project sponsored by the Rotary.
All right. And, that's something that folks could do at their own home. Just add a few plants in their own flower beds that will bring in the monarch butterflies.
Milkweed they love.
Oh,
so,
I have Asclepia planted around my house, which is known as, it's a butterfly weed.
there you go.
And it is a milkweed. So I get the chance to see those right in front of my house.
And it's just another way of seeing the beauty of our environment.
One more thing that we'll talk about, well, it kind of has two parts to it, but it's going to be coming up sooner than what we think, and that is July 4th. We've got our fireworks celebration all set, and there's going to be a parade.
There's going to be a parade. There's going to be a concert that night down at Treasure Island Park, weather permitting. I have to say that because we've had a lot of wet weather this spring, summer season. But we do have an Eagles tribute band coming down to Treasure Island Park.
Oh.
So there's a concert that'll be, we call it an Independence Day concert. That'll be down there, and we asked everybody if they want to just stay. There'll be a beautiful view of the fireworks that'll take place. So we have not only the parade, 4th of July parade, but we also have the concert, and we also have the fireworks, all in one package day of July 4th, a celebration day.
Now, I have to say, well, I would almost say that I'm disappointed to see so much happening down on Treasure Island on the 4th of July, because that was my little secret place that I could go down and I would watch the fireworks, and it was kind of quiet. But it is so cool to see that everyone else has discovered that as what a phenomenal place to be able to watch the show.
Thank you, Clint, for that support. And, it is free.
Yes.
So bring your lawn chairs, relax. Many people will be out on the river. I've noticed the river being
Yes.
used more and more. Again, I caution everybody, it's weather permitting, so you gotta be careful on the river, a fast moving river. But food trucks are gonna be planned and available that day. The concert will be a wonderful tribute concert. The Eagles tribute band will be here. And just a wonderful thing. Activities will start around 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Fireworks when it gets dark. But in the morning, we'll have our annual 4th of July parade.
Well, you want to make sure to get down to Treasure Island and get your seat saved when the fireworks start. Here's what I like so much about watching it down there. Not only can you watch the fireworks up in the sky, but then you get them reflected down in the river too. So it's like a double show.
Wow, I'd never been down there. I'm going this year, but it'll be a great look.
It is. It's really neat to be down there. And while the fireworks are going on, we will be playing patriotic music.
Yes.
On Troy Community Radio. So if you take your radio or if you've got a streaming online and the app on your phone, you can listen to that music while you watch the fireworks.
Celebrate our freedom.
Some good Sousa and John Williams, everything that goes great with all the explosions and the lights and the fireworks.
It's just a great way to celebrate our birthday and our freedom.
Yes, indeed. Mayor, thank you so much for coming in.
It's been a great show, as we always have. I love the dialogue that you and I create. We just seem to just start talking.
Well, we both enjoy our community.
And we enjoy our opportunity to share that.
Absolutely.
And thank you, David. I know David always does the videography for people who may not be able to listen to the show. They can still live stream.
Troy Community Television on
There
demand.
you go.
Thank you so much, Mayor Beamish. This has been the Mayor's Report. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN.